guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to read an interesting article about marriage, which is titled, Marriage is Linked to Increased Risk of Dementia, New Study Finds. And a shout out to Carrie for sending me this article. And guys, this article is based on a research, a study done at Florida State University that found that more married couples are more inclined to have dementia than non-married couples, or something along those lines. So aside from the fact that at least when it comes to guys, you can count on more depression and anxiety and certainly blue balls getting married, now you can add dementia to the list. Probably because, I don't know, they hear the missus yapping so many times they can't possibly process it all, and they can't remember anything and that type of thing. Any of you guys have been married or are married, you know what I'm talking about here. Anyhow, I thought this would be an interesting one to go over here. And, like I've been saying so many times, it would be wonderful to get back to a place where we can have a lot of the traditions back in place, where actually things are fair and balanced, and women behave like feminine women, all these other good things, because frankly, I would love to get back to a place in society where marriage, you have a strong family unit, because that's necessary, and kids are raised with mom and dad, and all that, not the mess that we're in right now. But as long as things are the way they are, on multiple fronts, in particular with the family courts and how guys get raked over the coals. You all are well aware of this. I just can't encourage marriage. I really don't. Like I said, it'd be nice to get back to the place where it once was, in a better place. But the way things are now, hopefully that will change. But until then, well, it is what it is. Anyhow, getting into this article, says here, a new study led by researchers at Florida State University somewhat shockingly suggests that married people are more likely to develop dementia. Well, again, I can certainly see where guys would get that. Would you believe me if I told you that staying single or ending your marriage could lower your odds of getting dementia? You have to twist my arm, sir. A 2019 study from America found that unmarried people had significantly higher odds of developing dementia over the study period than their married counterparts. Yeah, and what else did they develop? Indeed, married people are generally thought to have better health. Are you freaking kidding me? How many married people will go from being thin to looking like a bunch of Jabba the Hutts within 5 years? Studies have shown that they are at a reduced risk of having heart disease and stroke, and they tend to live longer. So why did the new study come up with this surprising finding? Let's take a closer look. I just can't get past that. Less chance for stroke, less chance for heart disease. What I've observed is single people look better than married people. The researchers analyzed data from more than 24,000 Americans without dementia at the start of the study. Participants were tracked for up to 18 years. This is a long freaking study. Crucially, the team compared dementia rates across marital groups: married, divorced, widowed, and never married. At first, it looked as though all three unmarried groups had a reduced risk of dementia compared with the married group. But after accounting for other factors that could influence the results, such as smoking and depression, only divorced and never married people had a lower risk of dementia. How interesting. Well, there could be a lot of reasons behind this, all jokes aside, but maybe because when you're single or unmarried or a widower, you're taking care of everything. So mentally, you got to be sharp. A married couple, usually they divvy up tasks and everything, But if you're on your own, you got to be sharp to take care of yourself, particularly as you get older. That's just a theory I have. Differences were also seen depending on the type of dementia. For example, being unmarried was consistently linked with a lower risk of Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of dementia, but it was not shown for vascular dementia, a rarer form of the condition. The researchers also found that divorced or never married people were less likely to progress from mild cognitive impairment to dementia, and that people who became widowed during the study had a lower risk of dementia. It's very interesting. I still think because, well, they're contrary to what people may think, they're probably a lot happier, particularly the unmarried ones. And shit, if it's the widowed ones, maybe they didn't really like their spouse after 30 freaking years. But I think, honestly, they had to then kind of like sink or swim. You have to be sharp because you got to take care of everything. The researchers also found that divorced and never married people were less likely to progress from... I read that part. Possible explanations of the link between marriage and dementia. Married people might be diagnosed early because they have spouses who notice memory problems and push for a doctor's visit. This can make dementia look more common in married people, even if it's not. Okay, fair possibility there, but I'm not buying it. This is called ascertainment bias, when data is skewed because of who gets diagnosed or noticed more easily. However, the evidence of this is not strong. All participants had annual visits from a doctor who could be thought as a proxy partner who would spot early signs of dementia in the participant. Yeah, most people that are healthy-ish, after the age of 40, will do a typical visit to the doctor once a year, physical and all that. And, okay, I go to the doctor once a year for a physical. It makes good sense, blood work and all that. And they're not giving me fucking memory tests, but I think I'm pretty know what's going on here, but I got to take care of everything, so who knows. Perhaps it was the case that the sample for people used from the National Alzheimer's Coordinating Center, the NACC, study was not representative of the wider population. Specifically, the sample showed low levels of ethnic and income diversity. Also, nearly 64% of the participants were married. This may affect how these unexpected findings translate to the wider world. They could just have been unique to NACC participants. However, it is more likely that these findings highlight just how complex the effects of marital disruptions, transitions, and choices on brain health really are. Being married is by no means an established protective factor for dementia, with an earlier meta-analysis, a study of studies showing mixed results. The new study from Florida State University uses one of the biggest samples to date to examine the issue and carries a good deal of weight. Well, 24,000 friggin' participants over 19 years, that's a lot of participants. It highlights that assumptions based on previous research that widowhood and divorce are very stressful life events that can trigger Alzheimer's disease, or that unmarried people are socially isolated and therefore may be at higher risk of dementia may not always be correct. I know a lot of people that are single and they aren't they're not locked away in their house or cabin or wherever you want, or trailer or wherever they live, or apartment all the time. They're quite social people and get out there, so I want to mention that. Relationship dynamics are by no means straightforward. As mentioned in the paper, such dynamics may provide a more nuanced understanding than a simple binary effect. Factors such as marriage quality, levels of satisfaction after divorce, cultural considerations, or the social ability of single people compared with coupled ones may help explain these seemingly contradictory results. This new study challenges the idea that marriage is automatically good for brain cells. Instead, it suggests the effect of relationships on dementia is far more complex. What matters might not be your relationship status, but how supported, connected, and fulfilled you feel. Right there, I want to know how many people here who've been married for 20 plus years, whether you're in a marriage right now or a divorce, feel connected, fulfilled, and supported. Probably not too great. There are, of course, exceptions. I know I'm a cynical asshole, guys, but you can't get to be 47 and hear all these stories I've heard and all that, not being a bit cynical. But anyhow, that's the study. But I got to laugh because, women complain all the time. They do complain all the time, but they really complain all the time about guys don't listen. How many times have you heard that? Every fucking guy here that's ever had a girlfriend or wife has heard the thing, you never listen. Well, in guy mind, there's only so much we can take in from this year before it goes out to this year. And last time I checked, women tend to talk a lot and yammer on, and there's only so much we can absorb in the sponge that is our brain before we just switch off because we can't fucking take it anymore. Our brains are going to explode. Our eardrums are going to explode from hearing the yapping about every fucking thing known to man. So maybe the dementia starts so that guys, as a protection to keep ourselves losing our minds from hearing all the yapping going on. I don't know. I know I'm being an asshole and joking around here, but still, who knows? But, I've seen articles that have tried to make the defense saying that single people are more prone to depression and anxiety and other problems and stuff like that compared to married folks, because married folks are better off. They have less depression and all that. But here's the thing. What I've noticed is that people that are married, and since let's be honest, 60% of marriages, give or take a few percentage points in the West, and in divorce. So clearly there was unhappiness going on there, at least with one of the people in the marriage, but probably both. And what about the ones that stay together and they're miserable too? How many people that you know are watching this, guys, including yourselves that are married, that actually, truly, if you look behind closed doors, that are married and with kids, which is hard, and are actually happy? Really, and actually deep loyalty and love and all that, I think the numbers are probably somewhere in the upper single digits. I mean, really. And the rest are just either living as roommates, they share the bond with the kids, they love the kids, so they're staying, and it is what it is, or they're secretly miserable staying together for whatever reason, or the rest split up. So I just can't buy into this stuff that married people are happier than single people. I think the people that are single that aren't happy because they aren't married probably are these type of people that can't be alone or haven't been through that and don't know what they're missing. But I think I'm going to bet you probably some of the most happy people are the ones that were in a bad marriage, got out of it, have learned reality and are free, and they're at the gym every other day and eating healthy, enjoying their life. They're probably happy, singing zippity doo dah. I don't know. So is this study about less dementia if you're single possible? Well, my perspective, certainly possible. Who knows? But anyhow, I just can't see how people are happier, better mental health, better physical health if they're married as opposed to being single. So who knows? But anyhow, guys, I saw this. This was sent to me, and I thought it'd be a funny one to go over here. But if you ever see articles like this trying to make the argument that marriage is better and da-da-da for all these things, send them my way. I'd like to go over those and roast them because I just don't quite buy it. And as a guy that was a personal trainer for a number of years and had lots of married clients, and what I've observed in my life, most married folks aren't exactly in the best physical health. And if you're not in the best physical health in terms of your appearance, the odds are things on the inside ain't too good either. Until somebody has a major health scare and they got to basically shape up or die. And while single people tend to take care of themselves because, hey, they're single, and obviously want to get some ass. But anyhow, I thought it'd be an interesting one to go over here. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, you have found a good article to send my way, send it over, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Or if you have a question or a personal story, I can use that as well. And also, guys, be sure to join your fellow scumbags and miscreants over on X on my channel, SSM. The account is SSM Channels. We're trying to grow it over there. So if you guys come join, we're having a good time over there. And this helps me promote the channels and all that without you-know-who, YT getting in the way. So I'd really appreciate that. And for all you guys that have come over and joined, thank you for doing so. And we're all having a good time there. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.